Alarming finding: 5 foods that are silently fueling cancer in your body. Have you ever wondered if what you eat daily could be feeding cancer cells in your body? What if I told you that certain common foods on our table are silently programming your body to develop tumors? What would happen if you found out that many of the processed foods we consume on a daily basis have a direct link to the development of cancer? Medical science is revealing alarming connections between our modern diet and the rise in worldwide cancer cases. Experts are finding that it's not just genetics or bad luck. What we put on our plates on a daily basis could be fueling this devastating disease. What would you do if you found that you could reduce your risk of developing cancer by up to a third just by eliminating certain foods from your diet? The groundbreaking findings of Dr. Jason Fung, a Canadian nephrologist and expert in weight loss strategies, are completely changing our understanding of how cancer develops and thrives in our body. Let's get started. The shocking truth. What's really causing the cancer that no one tells you? For decades, we were led to believe that cancer was primarily a genetic disease, a biological lottery where some people were simply more likely to develop the disease. Dr. Jason Fung, a world-renowned expert, reveals that this narrative is incomplete. Until 2003, there was no convincing evidence linking cancer to factors other than genetics. The revolution came when researchers discovered that cancer has a strong connection to obesity. This discovery completely transformed our understanding of the origin of the disease. Excess body fat, especially visceral fat, creates a pro-inflammatory environment in the body. This inflammatory environment is the perfect breeding ground for cancer cells to develop and multiply uncontrollably. This connection between obesity and cancer explains why so many types of cancer are increasing globally. Breast, colon, and liver cancer show a strong correlation with being overweight. Obesity alters the body's hormonal balance by increasing estrogen levels. This hormonal imbalance provides ideal conditions for the growth of cancer cells, but the most concerning factor revealed by Dr. Fung is insulin. This hormone, which is responsible for regulating blood sugar, acts as a powerful cell growth factor. When present in high levels, insulin stimulates the uncontrolled growth of cells, including cancerous ones. The process known as insulin resistance, common in obese people, causes the body to produce more and more insulin. This excess insulin directly feeds cancer cells, accelerating their growth and multiplication. Dr. Fung explains that cancer cells thrive on glucose through the Warburg effect. This phenomenon shows that cancer cells consume sugar at a much faster rate than normal cells. This dependence on glucose makes elevated insulin levels a dangerous contributor to the development of cancer. It is important to note that not all types of cancer have this metabolic link. Lung cancer, for example, is more associated with smoking than obesity. However, cancers such as breast and colorectal cancers, which are extremely common, show a strong link with metabolic factors. Before we get into the 5 worst foods identified by Dr. Fung, a crucial observation. Dietary modifications can help prevent cancer, but they are not a substitute for medical treatments. Always consult a healthcare professional before making significant changes to your diet. Now let's explore the 5 worst foods that can feed cancer cells in our body. First, the death trap. Processed proteins are programming your body for cancer. Processed proteins like sausages, bacon, and deli meats hide a deadly danger in every bite. These seemingly harmless foods are real-time bombs for the development of cancer. Dr. Fung emphasizes the huge difference between these products and natural proteins like grass-fed beef. While one is simply meat, the other is riddled with chemicals and additives that are harmful to health. Processed meats are not only high in unhealthy fats, but they contain additives such as nitrates and nitrites. These preservatives have been the subject of several scientific studies. According to Dr. Fung, regular consumption of these processed proteins fuels chronic inflammation in the body. This inflammation disrupts the natural metabolic balance and creates an environment conducive to the development of cancer cells. The real danger lies in processing methods that introduce carcinogenic compounds that directly fuel the development of tumors. One of the main problems is the formation of nitrosamines, compounds that are formed when nitrates interact with proteins. This process occurs especially under high temperatures, such as during grilling or frying. Nitrosamines are considered potent carcinogens that damage cellular DNA. This damage directly contributes to cancerous mutations in healthy cells. The World Health Organization has classified processed meats as Group 1 carcinogens. This classification indicates that there is strong scientific evidence that these foods cause cancer. An alarming WHO report in 2015 showed worrying data on this food group. Consuming just 50 grams of processed meat daily increases the risk of colorectal cancer by 18%. To visualize, we are talking about only 2 slices of bacon per day. This moderate consumption already poses a significant risk. The Institute for Cancer Research links the high consumption of processed meats with gastric cancer. This risk is particularly associated with a high salt and preservative content in these foods. Another worrying mechanism occurs through the process of glycation, where sugars bind to proteins and fats. This chemical reaction creates harmful compounds called advanced glycation end products. These products contribute to oxidative stress and inflammation in the body. Both processes are known to stimulate the growth of cancer cells. Processed meats are especially high in glycation products due to the methods of preparation. Techniques such as smoking and grilling at high temperatures significantly increase these harmful compounds. But don't despair, there are healthy alternatives to replace these dangerous proteins. Grass-fed meats, wild fish, and organic poultry are all excellent options. Plant-based proteins like legumes and nuts are also great alternatives that don't cause inflammation. These natural protein sources are free of harmful additives and do not contain the carcinogenic compounds found in processed meats. Your next step in protecting your health starts at the grocery shopping cart. The choices you make today can literally save your life tomorrow. Second, the ticking time bomb in your kitchen, processed fats that inflame and awaken tumors. Processed fats, especially polyunsaturated omega-6s, are silent villains, destroying your cellular health. These industrialized vegetable oils trigger chronic inflammation in the body, a key factor in the development of cancer. Alarming data from scientific research since 1989 already showed evidence of the danger. Studies have proven that excessive consumption of these fats is harmful. Reanalysis conducted by Ramon confirmed these frightening findings. When examining studies on polyunsaturated fatty acids, the researchers found worrying results. Studies that primarily increased the consumption of omega-6 fatty acids showed increased mortality. This direct correlation between processed vegetable oils and high mortality cannot be ignored. One of the most serious problems with processed fats is their high level of oxidation during processing and cooking. When heated, these fats produce harmful compounds called free radicals. These free radicals damage cells and DNA, dramatically increasing the risk of genetic mutations. These mutations are direct precursors to the development of cancer cells in the body. Scientific research proves this alarming connection between oxidized fats and cancer. Now, studies have consistently associated diets high in omega-6 fats with an increased risk of several types of cancer. Breast, prostate, and colon cancer show a strong correlation with the consumption of these processed fats. Dr. Fang points to a critical imbalance in the modern diet as a major problem. Historically, human diets maintained a healthy balance between omega-6 and omega-3 fats. This ratio traditionally ranged between 1:1 and 4:1, with omega-6 in favor. However, the modern Western diet has drastically altered this natural balance. With the widespread use of processed vegetable oils, the proportion in many Western diets has skyrocketed. Today, we see frightening ratios of 15:1 or even 20:1 favoring omega-6s. This extreme imbalance is directly linked to higher rates of inflammation in the body. Chronic inflammation, in turn, creates the perfect environment for cancer cells to develop. In addition to this imbalance, the consumption of processed fats contributes to insulin resistance. This condition disrupts normal cellular metabolism, creating what we call metabolic dysfunction. This dysfunction creates an ideal environment for cancer cells to thrive and multiply. The body, out of balance, becomes unable to identify and eliminate abnormal cells efficiently. Fortunately, Dr. Fang recommends healthy alternatives to replace these dangerous fats. Extra virgin olive oil, rich in monounsaturated fats, is an excellent option. Studies show that olive oil reduces inflammation and protects against several types of cancer. Breast and colon cancer show significant reduction in people who consume olive oil regularly. Avocado oil, rich in healthy fats and antioxidants, is another exceptional alternative. Avocados and their oil are excellent for reducing inflammation and supporting cellular. The decision is in your hands. Continue with fats that increase your risk of cancer or transition to options that protect your health. Third, the sweet poison. How sugar became your cancer cell's best friend. Sugar, that seemingly harmless ingredient present in so many foods, hides a deadly secret. Dr. Jason Fang identifies this compound as one of the worst villains in the development and progression of cancer. This common sweetener is the first and most discussed food by Dr. Fang when it comes to risk factors. He highlights sugar as while normal cells can alternate between using fats, proteins, and carbohydrates for fuel. Cancer cells are different. They are extremely dependent on glucose for energy and growth. This dependence on glucose makes sugar extremely dangerous for cancer patients. It directly feeds the growth of cancer cells in the body. The problem goes beyond glucose as sugar consumption skyrockets insulin levels, a hormone that not only controls blood sugar, insulin also acts as a potent growth factor for cells of all types. When present in high levels, it accelerates cell growth, including cancer cells. High insulin levels are common in people with insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes. This condition has been consistently linked to an increased risk of developing cancer. Dr. Fang explains that high insulin promotes the growth of cancer cells in a similar way to normal cells. This mechanism may explain why people with obesity, diabetes, or insulin resistance have a higher incidence of certain cancers. Breast, colon, and pancreatic cancers show strong correlation with sugar-related metabolic disorders. Statistical data confirm this alarming connection between sugar and cancer. A large-scale study published in the renowned scientific journal, The Lancet, brought worrying data. Obese people are up to much of this risk is driven by insulin and glucose metabolism in the body. Dr. Fang emphasizes that cutting back on sugar is crucial to lowering your risk of cancer. For those looking to cut sugar from their diet, there are healthier alternatives that can satisfy their cravings for sweets. Natural sweeteners like stevia and monk fruit are popular options that don't raise insulin levels. These natural sweeteners have a low glycemic index and provide the sweet taste without the harmful impact. Now, they do not negatively affect insulin and glucose metabolism like refined sugar. The choice is yours. Continue feeding potential cancer cells sugar or transition to safer alternatives. Room, enemies, and disguise. High glycemic foods that accelerate cancer growth. High glycemic foods are among the biggest culprits in cancer growth, according to Dr. Feng. Now, these foods significantly raise blood sugar levels, creating the perfect environment for cancer cells. This metabolic process, it's an extremely favorable environment for the proliferation of cancer cells. Foods such as white bread, sugary cereals, cakes, and processed snacks are the main culprits. These foods cause rapid absorption of glucose into the bloodstream, triggering insulin. Cancer cells, which rely heavily on glucose for energy, thrive in these conditions. Dr. Feng explains this mechanism alarmingly and directly to his patients. Each time you eat, you're stimulating your insulin, which sends growth signals to every cell. Cancer cells have 5 to 6 times more insulin receptors compared to normal cells, making them extremely receptive to these growth signals. This characteristic of cancer cells explains why they respond so well to insulin. They literally love insulin and glucose, using these nutrients to grow quickly. Dr. Feng's main concern with high glycemic index foods is their effect on insulin. Elevated insulin levels stimulate cell growth, including cancer cells. Over time, consistently high insulin levels lead to insulin resistance. In this condition, the body cells become less responsive to insulin. As a result, the pancreas produces even more insulin to compensate for this resistance. This vicious cycle creates an environment where cancer cells receive plenty of insulin and sugar. This dangerous combination dramatically accelerates the growth of tumors in the body. Dr. Feng believes that insulin acts as a true fertilizer for cancer. This hormone promotes the spread of cancer cells, making high glycemic foods particularly dangerous. Fortunately, there are healthier alternatives to include in your diet. Whole grains like quinoa and oats slowly release glucose into the body. Vegetables like broccoli, spinach, and kale have a low glycemic index and are rich in anti-cancer nutrients. Healthy fats like avocados, nuts, and seeds can replace high glycemic snacks. These foods provide sustained energy without causing blood sugar spikes. By adopting a nutrient-dense, low glycemic diet, you can lower your insulin levels. This simple dietary change can potentially reduce your risk of developing cancer. The power to protect your body against cancer starts with the food choices you make every day. What choice will you make from today? Fifth, the nutritional scam of refined carbohydrates that are programming your body to develop tumors. Similar to sugar, refined carbohydrates are among the worst foods for developing cancer. Its direct impact on glucose and insulin levels creates the perfect environment for cancer cells to grow. During processing, refined carbohydrates are stripped of essential fiber, vitamins, and minerals. What remains are simple starches that quickly break down into glucose in the body. This rapid conversion leads to spikes in blood sugar and insulin, creating ideal conditions for cancer cells. Refined carbohydrates, which skyrocket glucose levels, serve as a direct source of fuel for these cells. Dr. Feng explains that frequent consumption of refined carbohydrates promotes insulin resistance. As insulin levels remain elevated, the body cells become less responsive to this hormone. This dangerous cycle forces the body to produce more and more insulin, creating an environment where cancer cells receive a constant supply of their preferred fuel. Constant overstimulation of insulin has been linked to increased risk of several types of cancer. Breast, colon, and endometrial cancers show strong correlation with diets high in refined carbohydrates. Obesity, driven largely by excessive consumption of refined carbohydrates and sugar, exacerbates the problem. This condition leads to chronic inflammation and hormonal imbalances, both of which are linked to increased cancer risk. Dr. Fang emphasizes that managing insulin resistance through dietary changes is crucial, and this approach is critical for both weight management and cancer prevention. To maintain health, focus on nutrient-dense whole foods instead of refined carbohydrates. These foods do not cause blood sugar or insulin spikes, reducing the risk of cancer. Replacing refined carbs with healthy fats like avocados, olive oil, and nuts can help stabilize blood sugar. This substitution also contributes to reducing insulin levels, creating a hostile environment for cancer cells. Whole grains, legumes, and vegetables with low glycemic indexes are much better alternatives. These foods are digested more slowly, providing a constant source of energy without feeding cancer cells. The difference between refined and whole carbs can literally be the difference between feeding or fighting cancer. Which path will you choose for your long-term health? The revolutionary method, Dr. Feng's secret strategies that industries don't want you to discover. Now that we know the worst foods for cancer development, let's explore Dr. Feng's secret strategies. These approaches can potentially help us fight and prevent various diseases, including cancer. One of its main recommendations is to induce the state of ketosis in the body. This metabolic approach has shown promising results in the prevention and treatment of cancer. According to Dr. Feng, the ketogenic diet, high in fat and extremely low in carbohydrates, forces the body into ketosis. In this metabolic state, the body burns fat for energy instead of glucose. This process results in lower insulin levels, as carbohydrates and sugars are the main triggers for insulin release. Full-fat dairy products, such as cheese and whole milk, can be part of this strategy. Surprisingly, studies show that these foods do not increase the risk of heart disease and may even protect against diabetes, a condition that significantly increases the risk of cancer. This finding explains why the ketogenic diet has been favored by several doctors for complementary cancer treatment. The benefits go beyond weight loss, directly affecting the metabolic mechanisms that fuel cancer cells. Complementing the ketogenic diet, Dr. Feng's main strategy is known as intermittent fasting. This practice provides the body with prolonged periods without food, further reducing insulin levels. Dr. Feng argues that fasting triggers a process called autophagy, an extremely beneficial cellular cleansing process. During autophagy, the body eliminates damaged cells and regenerates healthier cells. This natural process can help significantly reduce the risk of developing cancer. Fasting also depletes the body's glucose stores, making it difficult for cancer cells to survive. Cancer cells depend on glucose for rapid growth and suffer in a low glucose environment. Without their preferred fuel, these cells have difficulty multiplying and spreading. That's currently 14 different types of cancer are defined as associated with obesity. Therefore, fasting, by helping with weight management, presumably also reduces the risk of these cancers. These include some of the most important and prevalent cancers in modern society. Breast, colorectal, and pancreatic cancers show strong correlation with metabolic factors that fasting helps control. The combination of ketogenic diet and intermittent fasting creates an extremely unfavorable metabolic environment for cancer cells. Reduced levels of glucose and insulin deprive the cells of the fuel they need for their growth. At the same time, increased autophagy helps the body identify and eliminate potentially cancerous cells. This dual protective mechanism can be a powerful preventive strategy against cancer. Imagine being able to reduce your risk of breast cancer by a third just through diet and lifestyle changes. This is not an empty promise, but a real possibility based on Dr. Feng's findings. Knowledge is the first step towards transforming your health and preventing cancer. What will you do with this revolutionary information you just discovered? Are you really ready to make the necessary changes to protect your body against cancer? The decision is in your hands, and the time to act is now. Start today. The power of choice is in your hands. The knowledge you have just acquired has the potential to completely transform your health and well-being. Don't underestimate the power of small daily changes in your diet to fight cancer. The 5 food villains revealed by Dr. Jason Feng don't have to continue to be a part of your life. Each meal represents an opportunity to choose between feeding cancer cells or fighting them. Think about the processed proteins you can replace with natural, nutritious alternatives. Visualize healthy fats that can take the place of harmful oils. Imagine the difference that reducing or eliminating sugar can make to your insulin levels. Consider how replacing refined carbs with whole grain options can transform your cellular. Reflect on how low glycemic foods can create a hostile environment for cancer cells. All of these changes are within your grasp, starting with your next meal. Remember that every bite is a statement of how much you value your body and your future health. Cancer prevention doesn't happen in hospitals or labs, but in the food choices we make on a daily basis. True medicine begins in your kitchen with ingredients that nourish rather than destroy. Dr. Feng's ketosis and intermittent fasting strategies are powerful tools at your disposal. Consider gradually incorporating them into your lifestyle, always under proper medical guidance. Don't wait until a cancer diagnosis forces you to rethink your eating. The time to act preventively is now, while you have the power of choice in your hands. Share this knowledge with your loved ones because information is protection. Together, we can create a wave of consciousness that revolutionizes our relationship with food. Cancer doesn't have to be your fate or your family's if you choose mindful eating. Cancer cells need specific conditions to thrive, and you have the power to deny them that environment. Commit today to at least one dietary change based on what you've learned. This small step can be the beginning of a transformative journey towards full health. Your body is your home for life, and it deserves the best fuel possible. Treat it with respect, and it will respond with vitality, stamina, and strength to fight disease. The real health revolution starts on your plate. One meal at a time. Are you ready to take the first step?